they may not be able to explain it because they don't know what is happening to them. So you see that the girl children have been given the sengas to talk to them. And the boy children, when they find themselves growing up, the wet dreams coming, nobody explains that to them. And we are responsible as a church to take our children aside and talk to them about growing up. Now imagine a 14-year-old boy impregnating a 13-year-old. What is going to happen? Are they old enough to take care of themselves? Does the boy child really know what they are doing? So as imagine having a reward, and your reward has not been told what to do. So they navigate this world, this life, without being taught anything apart from the rules and regulations in the schools. Now, what does heritage mean? Portion, allotment. So when you have a heritage, what do you do with it? You nurture them with wisdom, with instruction, with teaching and mentoring. You know, in many tribes, there used to be something called the rite of passage. When at a particular time, the elders of the clan know that these boys are growing up. So they get them together and they talk to them about life and about work and about marriage and what to expect in the future. Where are we parents when our children are growing up? Where are we when the boys take their first steps and when they get into puberty and when they get into secondary school and when they are growing up and they are getting their first job? Where are we? We have been given a lot of responsibility. And in Luganda, they have that saying, which means you're a strong person because you are prepared by your parents to navigate this world, to navigate life. And yet, your child has not been told because maybe you suffered a lot when you are growing up and life was hard, and therefore you feel that I have to give comfort to my child. We as parents tend to do that. My child will not suffer as much as I used to suffer. So I'll give my child everything and I will not even teach and mentor them. Remember, as parents, we have a peculiar right to raise and nurture our inheritance that God has given us through basic needs and all that we know, but also for spiritual direction, for encouragement, for modeling in Christian behavior. If you passed, what would you want to see if God gave you an opportunity to look down from heaven? What would you like to see happen to your child, to your boy child, especially you as a man? What would you want to see? If you've been successful, if you've walked right with God, what would you want to see? This inheritance of yours, this treasured possession, what would they do? What would they be doing? How would they be behaving? What careers would they have? Would they be successful or not? What would you want to see? So if there's something that you want to see in your child, you start yesterday. And then you impart into this boy child what you would desire for them to be. So today what we have so many, if you went down the street, Bunga, Buziga, wherever, you would see a lot of betting and drug addiction and alcohol and people having a good time, generally having a good time and squandering all that they have worked for, some of them. And most of these are boys. They are our boys. And we cannot run away from that. And yet we need to turn the tide as Christians. We need to give special care for both the boy child and the girl child. They are both a weak sex. They always say women are weak sex. But both of them are, because both are vulnerable. So at home, I've had occasion to see what happens in the home. And what happens is the girl is working chores with their parents, and the boy is at the neighbors playing football or in the house playing video games. And then the girl will be told by the mother, go and ask your brother to come and have lunch. So they sit and have lunch. And the boy goes back to play, and the girl washes up with their mom. So what are we teaching them? Are we teaching them to work? You were taught to work. Teach your boy, teach your girl to work. Supervise your boy. Let them be brought up in the knowledge of God. Share your life story. Bring them to serve in church. They should start their life story now, right now, to know what they want to be in the future. What careers do they want to do? Let's help prepare them for that. What do they need to know? Let's try to find that information for them. Take responsibility for all actions. At home, don't leave anything to chance, thinking that somehow things will work out for this boy, even what I have not told them. After all, he's a man. There's that thing that happens when a boy gets hurt. No, you're a man, don't cry. No, you're a man, you should do this. But have we told them to do that? Give them age-appropriate information. What information do they need at particular times? Let them start planning now for their careers. What do they want to do in the future? If they don't work at home to learn the basic chores at home, how are they going to appear in their jobs? How are they going to work? Are they going to be hardworking? If you leave them to have video, amazing what you see. Work becomes a punishment. Do you treat work as punishment at home? They will think work is punishment. Let the boys know that they have to make careers happen. And you boys who are here and you are not men yet, or you are not yet working, remember that these careers are yours. And whatever you do now will help you in the future or stop your progression in the future. Let the boys know, and you boys who are here, you men who are here who are not yet working, or who are working and have just started life, remember, you're responsible for yourself. You are responsible, not your parents, not your pastor. Not taking responsibility is one of the problems that we have. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened to me. I've had a boss who used to tell me, you're going to come to work, whether it rains or not. I used to be a trainer in Uganda Revenue Authority. And they would say, come rain, come thunder, I don't care. I do not care. We have to start work at 7:30. By 8, you are in class. So sometimes it would rain, and it did not matter. She would be there, and she would say, Juliana, I don't care whether it rained. Do we tell our children that? We don't care whether it has rained, where life has been difficult. People must learn to take responsibility for their actions and for their lives, and we teach them now. Never to blame other people for what they have not done. You see, the teacher doesn't like me. You see, it rained. You see, I did not know what to do. Making excuses and blaming circumstances in their lives. The world is not against them. As parents, if we don't stand up, as church, if we don't stand up, we are against them. We are not giving them what they need to move ahead. I'm going to ask Christine to come and take on the next part.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can we first stand up? I see people sleeping, especially men and boys. Okay. Yeah, let us first stand up. I don't know. Do you have energizers in this congregation? Someone who can take us through an activity? I'll ask them to come. Is it a man or a boy? Can we have a man? I'm not seeing girls today. Yeah, I want her. And he's my student either way. So I'm very happy to see. So energized.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we are going to Baraka. Please kindly stand up. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. Yes, you said everyone to stand up, right? So even Baraka had to stand up. Okay, those who can. Okay, so ma'am, you are excused. Okay, so we are going to do a simple exercise, very simple. I just want you to hold your waist. We're going to, with both hands, we are going to write a 4-letter word using the waist. The 4-letter word is Bunga. So we're going to use, yes, just hold your waist, and you're going to write Bunga using your what? Your waist. So stretch a little bit in front on the left side, but there. We are writing B. B. Is it right? Okay, so what about? So we're doing the A. 1, 2, 3, go. Let's do the A right from behind very quickly.
Ukande. And I think we have been introduced very well by Mrs. Chivumbi. But one of the things I need to mention is that I'm very passionate about the boy child. Yeah, first of all, I was born with boys. I am the only girl in my family from home. And then I have sons. So I live in a man's world. I live in a man's world. But I'm also here because there are things that you see that touch your heart and you're like, you know what? Sincerely, our men and our boys need help. They need a lot of help. Is it help or it is support? We need a lot of support to work together. Because if I go back just to tell the story, God made man and woman, he made boy and girl, but he made us for complementarity, to complement each other. Indeed, he may have wired us differently, but it was all meant for complementarity. But today we see very many challenges regarding this. I think 3 years ago, during COVID, someone wrote to me at midnight, and she said, I still have it wasn't a letter. I think it was an appeal. She wrote to me and said, you know what, Christine, I want you, I hope that one day you'll be able to start an organization of people who are born as only girls in the family. And she wrote all the reasons, and she said, I know you are one of them, and my daughter is one of them. But you people are unique in a certain way. You know, because you have grown up with boys, you are unique. You know, first of all, you are very independent. You know, you are very independent. So she was going through something with her daughter, and for her, she was attributing it to her being an only girl in the family. And some of the reasons actually that she gave were true. We tend to be very independent. We tend to make decisions very fast. We tend to move on. In other words, we tend to be rational. You know, God created men. Men are rational or logical. You know, you can tell a man as a woman that, hey, we shouldn't sell that plot of land. And then the man will give all the reasons because of this and this. And the woman will say, but for me, I just don't feel like. I just don't feel like it. It's because we are emotional. Maybe there are things that we think, there is a way we think, that we think emotionally, and men are usually logical or rational. So when you've grown with boys, you tend to be that. Because you didn't go through these motions of, women at times when we are not getting on, we have the silent treatment, we give each other. But people like us who grew up like boys, you will keep quiet and you suffer alone because they won't know that you've even kept quiet. So we grew up, being like them, logical, what. But then we have reached a stage whereby we realize that we need to support our men, we need to support our boys. And I will talk also about the emotional issues of boys. Like we have mentioned, I have been lecturing in universities and other places, several of them. And I have also been a church leader at our church at St. Paul Katuso. But recently, and we have all these things, Mothers Union, Daughters of the King, Sons of the King in our church. But you find that Daughters of the King, Mothers Union, those ones are more active. Maybe in your church it is different, and you should be thanking God. But in some of our churches, the women's groups, or the men's groups are just coming up. And we see that they have things to talk about, but they don't know how to talk about them, especially the emotional issues. So recently I was at a church and the boys called me. One of the boys approached me and he told me, you know what? I want to tell you something. I wish, and we are asking that you help us as young men who are growing up. And he told me that these days men or young boys have started going out on their own. Okay? Like a group of 4, we go out. That there is a certain fear we have of the contemporary girl or contemporary ladies. They are too fast for us. They are too sharp for us. Some of them are too demanding, you are dating and he wants a house and she wants money. She wants to move chap. And yet for us, we want to go a little bit slow. We want to be, but we find that the girls are becoming too much for us. We even fear dating. And what I'm saying, by the way, is true. These are not my words. We fear dating because the girls seem to be going so fast. Like Mrs. Nyombi has said, once in a while we had women empowerment, we had girl child. Even our university, Makerere, still has the 1.5 point that they add on to the girls and women's points. All those things were bombarded by the girl child, the woman, women empowerment, all those emancipation, which isn't bad in itself. But then we elevated the lady with the girl child. In Luganda, we send those Atena Ita war. And while we were doing that, we forgot our boys. We forgot to bring them along. We forgot to advise them or to also put programs in place to say that, you know what, this is how you treat an emancipated woman. This is how you do it. And also to question ourselves, what does God say about this? What does God say about omwenkano? Should we really be equal? Or we can be different but complement each other? Which I think and I know that is what God intended. So when the mwenkano came, we found that we forgot about the boys. But even culturally, like she has mentioned, the whole focus has been on women. Us, when we are growing up, we are taught to make the beds, we are taught to wash, we are taught to cook, we are taught everything. And our men used to be left behind. So you find that we are living in a generation where the boys were not brought up to speed. And it is through housework, it is through these chores that most of the things like common sense, like survival, like dealing with emotions, most of these things are dealt through house chores or through giving boys or girls and boys housework, what we call housework. Mrs. Nyombi and I have a school that is three weeks old. It is it's called St. Paul Christian School. And of course in this school, we have both boys and girls. But also in this school, we have a counseling office. It is a fully fledged office to cater for issues that are happening in society today. And when we started this school, we may have thought that we are going to be dealing with the children. But we found ourselves in the 3 weeks that we have been there, that we are dealing with parents as well. And we are dealing with boys' issues. We are dealing with men issues. Something is happening in our society. And these are things that in the past we have feared to talk about. So when we come to talk to you, it is not that we are experts. No, but it is high time we started these conversations and face them to say what is going wrong and what can we do about it. We can no longer hide. These days I tell people that, you know what? We have hidden for so long. We have been afraid to mention some things as they are. But if we continue this way, then we don't have a future. We won't have a future. Our children will not have a future. I look at parents posting their children on Facebook. Where do they post? Status and Facebook. You know, I'm not on these things, especially Facebook, you know. But I look at people's statuses. And when parents, we are posting our children, we call them, what are angels? And the boys, we call them our princes. My prince made 13 today. My prince is getting married. But are we sure? Do we even know? Or does the boy even qualify to be called a prince? And also on the other side, does the girl qualify to be called an angel? So we have been running programs in our church during the holidays. We used to meet the students alone. But for the last 3 holidays, we have met parents and children during the Sunday services. And I would tell the parents that look at your children, look at your angels, look at your princes, as in the boys. And I tell them, you know what? Some of them are not qualified to be called princesses. They are not qualified to be called princes. They are not qualified to be called angels. Because what they know and what they do doesn't qualify them to be that. Okay? So as we are raising our princes, the boys, let us make sure that they are princes. Let us make sure that we have equipped them and we have empowered them with the knowledge, the attitude, and skills to go on and be princes, to go on and be husbands in future. We have prepared the girl child for too long, and we shall continue to do so. But it's high time we focused on the boy child. These people are battling emotions because we have told them to keep quiet, be like a man. One of these boys, again, went ahead to tell me that, you know what, the boys, they told me that, you know what, our fathers at times come into our rooms and they say, look at you. At my age, at your age, I was married, you know? And they said they don't know what we are going through. Their age was their age, and that was your generation. And they were like, Mommy, we are suffering silently. But if you do not help us, then mental health issues are going to be on the increase. So for us, our appeal to you, or to us as parents, because we are reasoning together, like the Bible says, Come, let us reason together. It is not that we have all the answers. It is not that we know everything. But it is about, ladies and gentlemen, let us reason together. Let us come together. Because whatever is happening in our society cuts across. It cuts across denominations. It cuts across social status. Marriages are not holding today. And the ladies will tell you that the guy is useless. You know? And at times it is not their own making. It is because they don't know. They haven't been told. We have not empowered them to do so. So my appeal this afternoon is like, let us make these conversations. Let us revisit this whole thing about women emancipation and the girl child, and also start mentioning the boy child. But this time we are going to do it better. And again, we do not want to exaggerate the boy child. We want to balance things out, asking the Holy Spirit to guide us, going back to that place to ask God, what was your intention? When you said in Ephesians 5 that the man is the head of the family, and women, and he should love his family like Christ loved the church. We need to ask that crucial question, Lord, what do you mean? We need to redefine for our men what loving the wife is, what loving the children is, what being head of the family is. But also, on the other hand, we need to redefine for women what submission is, you know, so that we can do it the godly way, so that we can return to that place and say, you know what, God, we are coming back. We are realigning with your intentions. So let us focus, give some special focus. So on the boy child, you know, we empower them. Tell them, especially our fathers, especially even our mothers, let us get into conversations. Let us have spaces where we can talk, where we can discuss. Find time as parents on those daily altars that we have with our children to talk about life, because life is happening. Life is happening. Yes, we have the spiritual bit. We can come sing, but life happens in our homes. Life happens in our communities. Life happens at our workplaces. Life is happening everywhere. So, as we refocus on the boy child, not forgetting the girl child, let us think about these things critically and go back to that place. What can we do? What can we do as a church to bring this forth? How can we make our young gentlemen talk? And you know, boys don't know how to talk. I know at times we do very many bridal showers. Girls, we are in this whatever. Recently, we were at a bridal shower, and the women, we were meeting the bride-to-be. And then the gentlemen, the fathers, were meeting the groom-to-be. And we gave each other 1 hour. So the men asked us, 1 hour for what? You know? So, and true to their word, after 20 minutes, they were done. So they came to us and they told us you were talking. And I remember telling them, can you please go back and revisit? Then we decided to come together. And when we came together, when the women started talking, the men now talked the things that they had left out, you know. They were talking and said, oh yes, okay, we did think about that one, but it is important. And when they started talking, they talked and talked and talked and talked. So there are things that we need to talk about. Get to those emotional issues that men or boys fear to talk about. Let us empower them to talk. Let us empower them to discuss. And it goes to us mothers as well. When we are training our girls to talk, to discuss, let's do that role to show our men and to show our boys that men also talk. They have things to talk about. They have things that they must learn. And to the young gentlemen who are here, I also implore you to open up yourself to learning. Because I know men, there's that whole bit of sociology where we have the ego. We have our ego. But God made that ego for a purpose, for the role of protecting your family. But again, that ego has been abused. So we want to go spiritual and say, let us take it back to God. Yes, I have this ego, but I can open myself up to learning. I can open myself up to getting in something new. Yes, I can learn. So let us form those forums and spaces whereby we can talk. Because if we do not talk, in our counseling rooms, there is a lot that is happening there. You talk to a man, you ask them one question, and they cry. And remember, some of us were taught that men were not supposed to do what? To cry. But there is a lot that is pent up in there. So young gentlemen, when you have these forums, open up. Parents, teachers, whoever, church elders, let us play our role and bring each other up to speed so that we can highlight some of these things. Because these young men have now been taught that to be a man, you need to have a good car. You need to have a house before you get married, and a mansion at that. That is what contemporary society is telling them. You need to be able to finance your debts and in very expensive places. That is why you see there is a lot of lies on our social media. People will go and take a picture in the background of Dubai, those AI Dubais, and they will say, oh, Dubai smells good. But they are lying. They are in Uganda, you know. They are somewhere in Kanavurem, you know. But then they have done, and we are living a lie. And the girls are also doing it the other way. We are living a lie. I want a man who will take me out. I want a man who can give me all my needs. That isn't what it was supposed to do. We are supposed to complement each other. So I really want to end here, but I want to encourage us to read Proverbs chapter 4. Proverbs chapter 4. We are not going to read it because of time, maybe to allow for some questions and some feedback, but Proverbs chapter 4 is a scripture that talks about wisdom. It talks about wisdom and like it's a person, like it's a human being. So as a church, we need to get back to that place, that in the issues of boy child and girl child, we need to get back to wisdom. We need to use our common sense, which God gave us, and realign ourselves. Otherwise, our boys are weeping. We are losing a generation. We are losing a generation. If this generation is like this, we have a little bit of careless parenting, what is going to happen in the future generation? When we are getting our grandchildren, who we want to be kings and princesses, how are we raising them? So let us ask ourselves these pertinent questions. Let us go back to a place of wisdom and ask God to take over. And as we highlight the boy child, today is just an introduction. I hope as a church you will take it on, have these conversations in your different forums. Let us ask ourselves these questions. If we don't do it today, who will do it? Let us face it clearly. What are the boys facing? What are the girls also facing on the other side? Because it's not playing out right. Okay. That is, I'll stop here. Of course, there is a lot that we can say, but I'll stop here for now and allow feedback.
Wow. Our boy child. You'll join me to thank these ladies. In fact, what Christine said about girls who grow with boys, I really took her right. Because I'm almost like you. I'm a girl in 5 boys. But I think our parents were very different from who we are. We used to share the kitchen. Every boy had a day to cook. But I don't know whether we have boys who can cook now. The question is, where are we? When God came, when Adam has just sinned and Eve, he asked them, where are you? As a father or a grandfather, the head of the house, of the home, where are you? As the mother, as the wife, where are you? Are we where God intended us to be? We should not lose our boy child. I have a favorite preacher, that is Pastor Elizabeth Mokoro. She said this women emancipation was Satan's strategy. He wanted to destroy the home. Because if you destroy a man, a home is gone. I hope you join me to thank these ladies. But they gave an allowance of questions. Do we have questions? Anyone with a question? There is 1, 2. I think we take those 2, and they are very gender sensitive. One is from a man, another is from a woman. There is a third one behind here. May we get another microphone?
Thank you so much, speakers, for such a wonderful topic. And I'll start with, I'll comment on what Mrs. Christine had spoken about. I've been working in the dating industry for the past 8 years, helping people who are looking for marriage partners. And one of the biggest challenge that I've seen is when women emancipation came, of course, into Africa, some men back then used to mistreat women. Now, women emancipation came in to save women from the mistreatment, and yet in Africa, we have a patriarchy society where men are leaders. Now, these women became so busy in getting themselves empowered so that they cannot be mistreated or underlooked by men, which was really nice and worked out so well. But now the challenge we have is, in my circles, I have hundreds of women who have a lot of money, aged, some are even above 50, they have never been married before. And sometimes when you sit down and look at what they have been doing, someone who is 50 years old, they don't have a child, they have never been married before, and they only call me when their mother or father have died, because sometimes they keep that companionship with their mother or father. So when the father dies or when the mother dies, that's when they call you and they be like, I'm looking for a man. Now when you try to evaluate what have they been doing for all that long, they have been empowering themselves. Some I have visited them outside even Uganda. They have bigger houses, some that even older men do not have. They have big cars and have a lot of money. Now, my question is, what are the practical solutions that can be done to have women trust men again? Because even me, I am not married, and we have a lot of youths here who are not married. When you try to approach a lady, now in our church communities, they even tell us that we are not serious. But when you approach a lady today and you tell them you want to marry them, they don't even sit down to ask you your capabilities and everything. The thing they go on is, I'm still working on myself. I want to first make a lot of money so that I can be a good wife. Now, the challenge is that we have if I'm a man and my income is 1 million and a woman is also earning 1 million, I'm earning less than a woman. Because in a patriarchy society, I have to pay for debts, I have to build a house, I have to pay for transport when she's coming to visit me and all that. That means that my money is spent more the moment I get into a relationship. So what are some of the practical solutions that can be brought up to save this situation? Because it's becoming less. A lot of women are struggling out there with loneliness and lack of companionship. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for taking long.
Let's try to summarize the questions, please.
Okay, thank you so much, our dear facilitators. Yeah, I would like to actually pair up my question with Mr. Wasaka's, where he is very, partly that we've had, as we discussed with them, is something aligned to the scripture. And of course, in relation to what is happening in the world. And so you tell them that there is example A, B, C, D, you don't have to do this way because if you take this direction, this will happen to you. And also our God not expect you to take this direction. So surely as we go ahead into this discussion, I don't know whether we'll schedule for another one. Yes, we'll go for that wisdom. We shall ask God to give us the wisdom to get the practical solutions. But my expectation as me in this meeting was like, I don't know whether we should just forge as a church ways or practical solutions for these challenges. And of course, after pointing them out, we are like, oh yes, Sarah, you're a mother of 3. You're raising them. And they're all youths. Yes, they're all youths. They are teenagers. And so they have lots with them. So we first list them out. We are like this and this challenge. And then we forge solutions as a whole. And so we'll be able to help them. Thank you so much. Going forward, it's my request, Mama. Yes, thank you.
Mothers, for the wonderful presentation, and I think it has touched me. Recently, I've been with my colleagues. I'm a law student. We've been thinking about moving a motion, a petition of the 1.5 bonus scheme that was given to above girls. The ratio is 3-2 or 3-1.